Well, hey, and welcome back to our Flourish podcast. Today, I am joined by the lovely Lyric Wilson, a.k.a. wife of Pastor Felix. Ooh. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on today and joining me.
Absolutely.
So, all right, what I would love for us to talk about today is the joys of motherhood.
Yes.
So when I see you, Lyric, with Josiah, it totally brings joy to my heart every time. And you're just such a natural mama. And I just want you to talk about that. So did you know, were you that little girl who played with the babies and was like, okay, da-da-da-da, did you always just have a leaning and a natural bend towards motherhood?
I was not the kid that played with babies. I did always want to be a mom, but I was not a baby doll person. I think I had a, what are those dolls called? Their hair can change colors and stuff, but that's the closest I ever got. And the way that their hair changed colors by putting it, like making it cold, so I put it in the freezer. So not motherly, but I'd play with it. But I did always want to be a mom. That was always my dream. And I remember even whenever I was getting ready to go to college, thinking about what I wanted to do, I was like, I just want to be a stay-at-home mom. So it was like kind of difficult being like, if I had to have a job that could get paid for, what would I want to do? Because I knew in my heart,
right. If
I wanted
could
to be
make
a mother.
money being a mom, sign me up.
Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Okay, so here we are, and Josiah is how old?
He is almost 11 months.
Almost 11 months
So he'll
old.
be 11 months in about a week and a half.
Okay, and by the way, if you don't know Josiah, this little boy, I feel like he has been bear crawling and army crawling since he's been 8 months old, if not younger.
I think he started crawling when he was like 3 months.
Yeah.
He's on a whole nother level. It's almost weird. It's like,
No,
why do you need to be moving this early?
Right. Isn't it interesting that so much of motherhood is like, Lord God, let me just help keep the child alive today.
Yes.
Let me just keep him from danger.
Yes.
Let me keep him strong.
Absolutely. And because he started walking, so he's already walking. So because he started walking so early, it's really like, can I walk around you like this all day?
If they would have, those big bubbles, matter of fact, side note.
Yes.
That one time that I agreed to do challenges with your husband.
No.
Felix, Lori. And we got in those clear bubbles and we charged each other. And what do you think happened? Lori flew backwards 5 feet.
I will not do one of those. I did it once with my sister.
Oh
It's
my
these
gosh.
huge bubbles that you step in and then you can run into each other and
Seriously.
somebody's going to go flying.
Right. But good news, I didn't get hurt. So when I think of raising little ones, I'm like, Lord, okay, if we can have safety bubbles for them. Oh, you know what? Oh, well, cool for necklaces, right? Anyway, but if we can have safety bubbles that keep them, let's see, how about maybe till they're 18, actually.
Yeah. Just
Anyway, okay, so what I want to do is talk about fun activities and things that you have been doing with Josiah since he has been like teeny to present. Just ways that you interact with Josiah, because I have personally seen you, not only with your son, but with my grandkids, do interactive things. And I'm like, that's genius.
Yeah.
So I just want to talk about practical ways, too, that keeps the fun in raising little ones, especially when they're into everything.
Yes. So it's called sensory activities, and it's just pretty much anything that you can do with them that'll get their senses involved so that they can start learning like, oh, I can feel things and I can smell things and see different colors and whatnot. So I started doing this when Josiah, honestly, probably too young, but I was just really, really excited to start doing it. So whenever he was baby, I would fill like a bag of water up and put it in front of him while he was doing tummy time, so he would want to play in it. And then as he got older, I would put like objects in the water, so now he's trying to grab it.
Right.
Probably one of my favorite things is, and I could not wait to do this one, is when he got older, I cooked some spaghetti and then put it in 4 separate bags. And then you put food coloring in it.
No.
And just let it sit for a few minutes, and then they can like play with it. And that one's really good.
So that's within the baggie.
No,
it's just
you
on
put it
the
in
tray.
the bag so that it can absorb the color, and you just mix it up.
And you just emptied out all the different color
noodles.
noodles.
And I put it on. We went outside because I was like, I don't want this all up in my carpet. So I took it out and I put it on his little walker tray, and he plays in it. And it's sticky and it's all tangled up, so he's like ripping it up.
That's so fun.
And I've got a picture, and he's like, with noodles all over his hands. And so he had so much fun doing that one.
That is, and we're talking, 6 months old or younger?
He was probably around 6 to 7 months at this time. But he had a blast doing that one. And that was probably my favorite one because it's like, all the colors and all the things. So he's doing that one. Another super, super easy one is I would have 2 bowls and I would put one with warm water and one with cold water. And I just got some sponges from the dollar store and cut them up into strips. And so I put some in the cold water and
So
some
fun.
in the warm water.
Yeah.
And that he's learning the differences in the cold and the warm water and like
love
playing with the
that.
texture of the sponge and kind of teaches him cause and effect because when I squeeze it, water comes down
Absolutely.
and all the things. So that one is super, super easy. And I did that one all of the time because he absolutely loved it. So
And something so simple.
Oh, yeah.
You
You've
know,
got-
as moms, we
Yeah.
get so stressed about what do I do, or I don't have this in my budget. So, you know, these are just very practical and simple ways.
Yes.
You know, to
Yes.
interact with your child. And then didn't you do, was it a shaving cream or a Cool Whip thing?
Oh no, that one was like a homemade foam. So you can actually do this one with older or younger kids. And the one that you would do with older kids who don't put everything in their mouth is dish soap, and then you just put a little bit of water in there and you blend it, like quite a bit of dish soap with a little bit of water, and you blend it up for 5 minutes and it creates a foam. And Josiah, as a baby, never put anything in his mouth. I don't think he put stuff in his mouth until he was probably around 7 months old.
Because if anyone who's watching has a child who that goes straight to the mouth, probably not a good idea, correct?
Yes.
And then when I said shaving cream, I said it and I'm like, yeah, don't do that because your eyes will, you know, your kid's going to be crying. Don't do shaving cream. But
So
anyway.
I felt like it was fine because Josiah never puts anything in his mouth. And my mom will always like make this joke. I think it's an expression. It's like babies will make you a liar or kids will make you a liar because you'll be like, my kid never does this. And then they immediately do it. So I was like, I'm not worried about making it taste safe because that means that it's okay if they put it in their mouth. And I was like, I'm not worried about it being taste safe because he never puts anything in his mouth. So I made the foam with dish soap and I put some little toys in it, just like some balls that we already had to put for him to like find and dig and play in the foam. And immediately takes a huge scoop
No, he
and
didn't.
eats it.
No, he
and I was
didn't.
like,
Now, what was his
Son.
reaction?
he was just like it was gross because it's dish soap.
So then after that, you're like, and okay,
so I
we're
was like,
going to move on.
we're gonna make
Yeah,
it taste safe
yeah.
now. So it's like chickpea, the juice from 1 can of chickpea, and like I think it's a teaspoon of cream of tartar, and you blend that up, and then you can put food coloring in it. I think I did blue food coloring.
All right, science teacher. I
Yeah.
kind of feel like
sorry.
I almost feel like it's physical science. Was it when you did all the experiments?
Yeah, so you just blend that up.
man,
And
that's
really,
awesome.
whenever I do these, a lot of the times I like to be sitting in front of him so I can explain, like, especially with the water, when I'm like, that's warm water, that's cold water. So that way he's putting words to the senses that he's learning.
I love that.
But with this one specifically, I needed to be washing dishes. So I was making this so that I could wash dishes and he would have something to play with. And he played in that for like 20 minutes.
So fun.
And it's so easy. So, and again, most of the time you have it in your house. And I think a lot of people are like, that's so cool, but I can never do that. And I'll get messages on Instagram all the time. And I'm like, it is so literally anything that'll activate their senses, do it. I gave him a bunch of loofahs one time and he played with it for 20 minutes.
Loofahs, who knew?
Like, it's so
you know
simple.
what? And you said on Instagram, you know, hey, if you want to follow Lyric, because this girl is so smart and has so many cool ideas, what is your Instagram? Is it called handle? Did I say that right? Instagram handle?
I'm not tech
You know
savvy.
what? We're just not even going
And I
to.
actually don't even know it, but my name is Lyric Wilson, and
So-
you can probably find it
so
by
go
looking that
follow,
up.
because
and I do have a little a highlight at the top with sensory activities, and I will typically explain
I
it.
love that.
So-
Even though I'm an empty nester, I spend a lot of hours with my grandkids. And I
Yes.
will see some of your posts someday, and I'm like, first of all, it brings me so much joy because I'm like, look at her doing that. And then I'm like, what can I do next time
Yeah,
the kids are
it's
over?
so fun.
You've really inspired me. I don't know if you know that.
Oh,
so
thanks.
even the grandmothers out there saying this doesn't apply to me, yes, it does.
Yes, even Rylan is my favorite to do them with because he's older, so we can do things that's like more fun and elaborate. So even yesterday I was watching them and we got some painter's tape and I taped it to like each sides of the wall, like in rows. So it's like those little laser things that you have to walk through. And we took a few toys and stuck them to the tape. So he would have to go through and like get the toys as he's doing it, but don't let the lasers touch.
Girl, you're
and you
gonna
can
be getting-
find most of these things on
Oh my gosh,
Pinterest.
watch out. You're going to be getting all kind of DMs and messages of, can I come spend the day with you? So get ready.
But
That's
no,
so
it is so fun.
clever.
And my favorite thing is like seeing how Josiah will like start to play with it to like how he'll end up playing with it. Just watching him learn the things. And I'm like,
And
this
the
is
brain
so
stimulus.
fun.
Here, this is
Yes.
a child that's not even one, and you are already being so, I want to say the word innovative, but you're just being so intentional
Yeah.
about stimulating the brain. It's never too young. Okay, so
Yeah.
now I want to shift gears in from stimulating the brain to the spirit. So talk to me about what you and Felix, what are some things that y'all do on a practical level that is already training up Josiah in the ways of the Lord?
Yeah. So with this, it's kind of, I try to be really, really intentional with my words. And so with Josiah, it was funny because he at one point started like hollering at us. Like we would speak to him and he'd be like, ah, and we're like, where is this? Like, who taught you how to yell?
You're like, no.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't yell at you, so you don't yell at me. And then one day he was, he likes to play with the toilet paper. So he was unraveling all of it.
Of course.
And I'm like, I just scream. I'm like, ah, just to get him to stop. And he turns around. He's like, ah. And I was like, oh, I taught you that. That was me. And
Let's
so,
pause for a moment. Mom, or dad, or whoever's watching this right now. How many? No, have you lost it? And then
Yeah.
sometimes we just need to take a good look in the mirror because it's
and I'm like,
actually
I
us.
wasn't even yelling out of anger. I'm just trying to get him to hurry up and stop. So I'm just like, ah, because I know he'll be like, whoa. But then, yeah, he turned around and hollered at me. And I was like, I should probably stop doing that. And Felix got home and I was like, we need to stop yelling at him. I was like, we're the ones who taught him that. Because we used to do it all the time when he was a baby. We just holler just to keep him sharp. We're like, always be on your toes.
Okay, that's funny, Lyric.
You probably shouldn't do that with your kids. I'm not recommending it. But
Well, and when I picture you two hollering, you're not like, I mean,
Yeah.
there's levels of
you're
hollering
just be like,
people.
Josiah.
And he's like, hey, look alive. Oh
Yes.
my gracious.
So that was a real like quick check with me,
Yeah.
and I was like, we're not hollering out of anger, but to him it's like hollering out of anger or hollering just to get my attention. Either way, you're hollering
Sure.
at me. So that's what he picked up on. And so being super intentional with my words, instead of saying like, or even no, he started saying no to me, and I'm like, you're 9 months old. We're not starting that. So instead of telling him no, I'm saying, hey, can we not do that? And can we go over here now? Or if I told you this earlier, if I need something from him, instead of just like taking it out of his hand, I want to teach him that's not a respectful way to do that. So I'll say, hey, can I have it? And he's just now gotten to the point where he'll actually put it in my hand.
That is so good. You know, I think so many parents, Lyric, think that they don't really comprehend what I'm saying. I probably have to wait till they're talking in full sentences. But, you know, excellent job, seriously,
Thank you.
on train. The word says train up a child in the way that
Yes.
they should go, and when they're older, they will not depart from it. Okay, the moment that your child can cry because they're hungry for food, they know way more than what we give them credit,
they process. They're sponges, and I think it's there's a study that says like 80% or something like that of their brain develops between 0 and 3. So if you wait until they're
Wow.
3 and they're walking and talking to start teaching them things,
80%
most of their brain is already
of their brain
Yeah.
develops between 0 and 3.
It might not be 80, but it's around. It's
It's
a
a
very
lot.
very high amount.
It's so
And
significant.
so you really, not that if you start after 3, it's too late or
Sure,
anything.
nobody feels scared or discouraged, but
yeah,
but,
but
in
you've
other
got
words,
3 years to really put in them what you want them to get out of life. Really, like their morals and everything. Like you can impart them. Is that the right word?
Sure.
You can impart that in them when they're 0 to 3.
Wow, so good, Lyric.
So I try to be
good.
super, super intentional with that. And even in those moments, whenever I'm like, hey, can I have it? And he puts it in my hand, I'm like, you're so obedient.
You're reinforcing
Yes.
the action of what
Yes.
you, as a parent, you asked.
Yes.
He responded in the correct way. So what did you do? You reaffirm.
Yes. And so I love like affirmations and stuff. And we do have a book that we'll read to him, and it has like two lists of affirmations that we speak over him every night. But I
love
like
that.
during it out during the day because they are associating the word with the action. It's like, oh, whenever I do whatever you told me to do, that's called being obedient. And he learns I am obedient. Or even something as small as like sometimes he loves giving kisses. It's his whole
Sweet
even if you
boy.
make the mwah sound, he will come over and give you a kiss. But sometimes he'll be playing and he'll look over at me and smile. And so I'll smile at him and he'll walk over to me and give me a kiss. And I'm like, you're so sweet. And so then he wants to keep giving me kisses. And so I've even seen now whenever I'm trying to do activities with him, he has become like a words of affirmation kid. Like that is his thing.
Wow.
So it
Wow.
is so sweet I want to be the one to speak over him, and then he's the one who like continues to come to me. There's a video where I'm trying to get him to, I think, put like a a peg into a hole or something, and he does it, and then he looks at me. So for me to be like, good job.
He was looking to you for that affirmation.
He's like, look, Mom, I did it. And I'm like, good job,
You know, I hope every parent listening to this gets that, the power of affirmation to our little ones. That it is, to me, when you're saying that, I'm picturing a little seedling of a plant.
Absolutely.
Just the little bitty leaves just barely coming out of the soil. And as you speak the words of affirmation and encouragement, I just literally just saw like a little, why? Because that's the way that God created us. And words are so very powerful, Lyric. So, girl, keep it up. Awesome.
But yeah, it's the sweetest thing. So even if he misses, I'm like, you're so close. And so now he's laughing and he'll stop and give himself applause. Because I'm like, you're so close to doing it. And he's like, yay.
I'm so close.
Yeah. And I'm like,
okay, that's
working.
it. We're going to start doing this in the office, everyone. Get ready.
So it really is, you can instantly see that words are like building him up, and creating, especially as a young man, I'm like, it is so great to see that confidence is already starting at 10 months old,
Excellent, Lyric. Excellent. Gosh, that is so good. Okay, so what are some things that God has shown you either in the Word or through maybe a devotion, anything you would like to share, just that this has really impacted me and my motherhood and inspired me? So what has the Lord done or shown you
I've actually got some scriptures. I'm going to read this one first because I read this. So this is called Gospel Center Motherhood, and I think it's like $5.
And this is
Daily Grace Co.
Yes, Daily Grace Co. Everybody, their materials and their resources are. I can't believe how inexpensive they are. Number one,
I think this is like $5.
They are beautiful.
Oh yeah,
and they're so. Show them how thin. Okay, first of all, thin but punches.
Yes,
I mean packs a punch, so to speak. These are so inspirational. Okay, so share. Yeah.
So I was reading in it the other day, and it says, we have to remember the saying that more is caught than taught. Our children are looking at the whole of our lives, words and deeds, to see what we deem as valuable and true. They're going to see if we're going to the Word every day for strength and guidance, and they are observing our attitude, tone of voice, coping mechanisms, and level of joy to see if the gospel is good news. And I read that, and I was like, that is so good, because you always hear the expression that's like, more is caught than taught. But to, as a Christian and as a believing mother, I want to make sure that my actions really are lining up, because just like the hollering thing, it's like, I can tell him all day long not to holler, but if all he hears from me is hollering, he's gonna holler, So am I being encouraging with my words? Am I showing him the grace of the Father whenever he, this morning he knocked my water up and he looks up at me and I'm like, it's okay. And I pick it up. Am I being a good representation of Christ? Because if I say that we're a believer and we go to church all the time and we do all the things, but he never sees me in my word, anytime he does anything, I'm like, what are you doing? He's not going to see this and think truth. He's going to be like, well, this says blah, 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 and you're over here doing da, 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 da.
This becomes about law instead of grace.
Yes. So it's almost like another thing that it said, it was about discipling your children. It's like your first person or the first people that you're going to disciple, and the most organic way that discipleship happens is you and your children. So it's like they're going to learn by everything that you're doing, So I just want to make sure that I am representing Christ well. I want to make sure that I'm doing this well, so that he grows up and thinking, I love the Lord because I saw the fruit of it in my parents.
So good, Lyric. So good. Wow, that is powerful. So powerful. Again, every parent watching, I hope and pray that you are being inspired today, that start when they are newborns. Yeah. Start reading the Word over them. Start affirming them. There's so much power in words.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I even noticed, talk to me about tone. Does tone matter? Tone and body language. I've heard my whole life that, body language speaks louder than words. Tone, talk to me about tone and even body language when dealing with little ones.
That's a good question. And I've got, like you said, I'm like, yes, it absolutely matters. With Josiah, we haven't super struggled with it. The only thing I can think of is he loves to pull my hair, specifically when I'm laying down on the floor. And he'll just come to me and pull my hair, and I can be like, stop. And he will take that as, keep going. So he'll keep pulling my hair, and then I'll look at him like, stop. Because I'm like, that is the one thing that I'm like, okay, I need more self-control in this area, but that is so painful. And I remember I turned to him really fast, and he was like, whoa, he was like, Mom is being serious. Yeah. And I was like, well, darn. And he starts crying. And so I'm like, I'm really sorry. Like, that's not how I should have
Because
approached
in that
it.
moment you startled him.
Yeah. So
But
I
you were trying to be like, Mom is serious.
Oh, yeah. So the tone got through what I wanted it to get through, but now he's shattered. So I'm thinking of it. I'm like, I'm sorry, but baby, that hurts. And so, yeah, I just remember.
Isn't there such a delicate dance
Yes.
of, yes, I'm walking in authority as your parent,
Yes.
stop, versus stop, you know,
Yes.
and then they just feel so, you know, taken back.
But I can even think of like being, like, I almost said being a daughter. I'm still a daughter. But being in my mom's house and saying something that in my head is a joke, but it comes across like, or even in marriage, saying something to Felix and him being like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. And he's like, well, the way you just said that. And I'm like, okay, let me work on
Isn't that so true, though? Tone, not just with raising little ones or teenagers, but in any aspect of
Yes.
life, really and truly, what we say and how we say it matters and makes a
Yes.
difference. So, okay, as we are wrapping up, you know, we call this the joy of parenting and that kind of thing. And again, I just see your life, and you and Felix, y'all really do radiate joy so
you.
much in your parenting
you.
and even in your walk with the Lord. And it's so attractive. So, as we're closing, what are some ways that you feel like you keep just with in the heart of being a wife and a mom? How do you personally keep joy alive? Do you have sad days sometimes? And then how do you press through that?
We definitely have sad days. So, I was trying to debate if I wanted to get into this, but we did have 2 losses with pregnancy. So I think with that, it really, like the verse that's what does it say?
The Lord is near to the brokenhearted. I don't know. That's the one that just came to mind.
It just slipped my brain.
It's okay.
Anyway, basically, that children are joy, and so I think it really and that. Let me open.
That's
I
okay.
actually
Go
have a
ahead,
mark.
sis. Hey, you got this.
Okay, it's the verse right before it says
Okay,
that.
I love that you already had this ready to go.
Yeah,
She did not.
I had
know
it ready, and I was going to do it from memory, and then as I went to say it, I was like.
Go ahead. Read it.
But it's right before it says that children are like arrows in the hand of a warrior. But it says children are a gift from the Lord; they are a reward from Him. And then the Passion Translation says children are God's love gift. And I think like not that you can't grasp this concept without having walked through that, but I think that was so like evident, like. It is, once you've walked through that, it's like, it is such a gift that I get to raise Josiah. Like, he is, if you've met him, you know, like, he is the most joyful kid. And it's because, I feel like it's because we pour that into him. We're so thankful that we get to raise him. We're so thankful that we got to, like, experience having a child and, like, carrying him and, you know, now raising him up and the fact that I get to stay home really is just, like, a gift from the Lord. I was actually... I think I was 37 weeks whenever we found out that I would be able to stay home. I was going back to work, and it just worked out like supernatural craziness that I was able to stay home with Josiah. And so it really is in my brain that it is such a gift that I get to raise him. So even whenever he's having days where he's like, all I want to do is be held, and I'm like, kid, I've got to get the house clean. We live in a camper.
Yeah.
It's a really small space, and it's even smaller when it's dirty. And so, but just reminding myself, like, I get to raise him. Like, I get to pick him up and
Putting
hold
the
him,
first
you
things
know,
first.
and just, yes. And even I can, there's like so many things now where you can have both of your hands available and still be holding your kid. And even the fact that we have those things, I'm like, thank you, God, that someone created this. Because now he can actually see me working and doing dishes. And so that's putting in him one day like, oh, mom
That
does
is
dishes,
beautiful.
I can do dishes.
Yeah, yeah.
But still taking that chance to be like,
Great.
you come before washing dishes. You come before putting away laundry.
That's
And
great,
so
Lyric. That's great.
just really being intentional and reminding myself, like, a lot of people, I don't know, but a lot of people don't get the
Sort of the opportunity.
to stay home with your kid all day. A lot of people don't get to do the things that I do. And even like the moms who struggle with having children, I'm like, I walked through that and I know that. So I try to remind myself, like, this really is so beautiful. And I'm so like
Wow.
gifted to be able to
Wow.
raise him.
Wow.
And so just really trying to be intentional about keeping that to the front of my brain. And sometimes I mess up and Felix gets home and I'm like, okay, go to your dad. Dad's home. I'm like, look at Dad. You love him. But,
Your dad.
yeah.
Well, what I heard you say really is just being so intentional daily
Yes.
to walk in gratitude. Even
Absolutely.
though, again, you walk through two losses, you know,
Yeah.
of miscarrying and that, but knowing that God's got you.
Yeah,
And that
absolutely.
you and Felix are like, this is the gift that God gave us.
Yes.
So as we close today, I just want to encourage anybody who has tuned in today, to find ways every day to have a heart of gratitude.
Absolutely.
And in doing that, that on its own produces joy.
Yes.
Thanks for staying tuned today, and we can't wait to see you on the next Flourish podcast.